What is up, Eagle investors? I hope everyone's having a great long weekend. In this week's episode of Eagle Investors Market Recap, I'll be going over what I've been seeing in the market so far, key economic drivers to look for, as well as some plays that I think have tremendous potential within the medium and long term. In particular, I'll be watching energy and specific energy plays, which I think have great opportunities not only for this year, but years to come forward as well. So to jump right into it, I'm going to be changing things up from comparing small cap performance to large cap performance. I'm going to be focusing more on the shift from growth to value. So I'm going to be looking more into VLUE. While the Russell 2000 does have a lot of value names, we're seeing value from large cap and mid cap still outperform as well. So that this is something that I wanted to keep tabs of, and I think if you're invested in the market heavily within growth, potentially look into adding some to your value tilt as well. So for the week, we saw VLUE outperform by about 10 basis points, 15 basis points, and then for the month, we saw we're seeing VLUE outperform by almost 2%. For the year-to-date performance, VLUE's almost up by over 11% compared to the S&P 500. So I think the trend for value outperforming growth will continue, and it's going to be an important trend to continue to watch for, especially as we see many businesses continue to reopen and the demand for many of these resources, whether it's banking, healthcare, as well as looking into specific energy plays, we can potentially see an outperformance, and we can see growth still continue to perform well, but I think we'll see some underperformance there, especially as we see inflation concerns not necessarily take the main spot of the markets currently, but I think going into closer to the end of the year, as we see the economy continue to reopen and we see globally demand continue to increase, we could see value outperform. So in terms of something that I really wanted to look into on the energy space, I've been following US crude oil inventories, and we are seeing drawdowns week after week. So this week's drawdown was negative 1.6 crude oil barrels, and the previous was negative 0.426 million. So we're continuing to see weaker supplies. And one thing that I'm looking for in particular is demand within Europe as well as India, as well as many of the countries within these regions, within Europe in particular, are starting to open up, and India still has to recover from the COVID cases that have been rampant throughout the nation. So those are two regions where there could be opportunity, and I'll be researching different opportunities in terms of specific companies you can play, but I think demand is going to go up in these regions. So I think we could see crude oil prices continue to move higher. In particular, in the last few weeks, we did see crude oil continue to move up, which is a promising sign. As we see demand continue to ramp up, we need to see if supply can match that increase in demand. So I'll definitely be watching this key trend. I think in particular, demand supplies within the U.S. have been constrained just due to banks not willing to lend to many of these oil producers, as we're seeing the trend towards ESG, and we're seeing also the fact that investors in particular aren't looking as much into oil and some of these energies compared to some more of like these green energies, which are longer term plays. So I think there's a lot of opportunity within the energy space. Gold in particular has continued to move higher. It's been shown with gold as potential inflation hedge, and we're seeing a continued rebound from that 1700 level that we saw a few months back. I think gold still has potential to move higher, and it's one of those long-term holds that I'm holding in my portfolio. I'm not holding a significant amount, but I think it's a great play. Metals in particular, I'm holding some metals and mining plays along with gold, as I think that as we see some inflationary pressures go into the end of the year, we could potentially see these names in particular continue to outperform. Now, just going over the health of the economy currently, we're seeing for the 1 week, we're seeing communication services and consumer cyclicals as well as tech outperform, while utilities are underperforming for the week. Going for the month, we're seeing energy significantly outperform, energy and basic materials and financials. In terms of underperformance for the month, we're seeing utilities, technologies, and consumer cyclicals. Major thing to look for is how the shift from growth to value, which has been permeating for the past few months. So that's something that will potentially continue. So make sure to keep an eye out for that, especially if you're tilted one way or another within your portfolios. Now, in terms of specific plays, which I think have tremendous potential within the energy space, I think CCG, it's a uranium play. One thing to look for within uranium is the fact that we're seeing an increase in demand just due to different ESG factors, as well as the fact that we're seeing supplies continue to whittle down within the commodity space. And I think that uranium in particular has a lot of opportunity to move higher as a result of the decrease in supply and the increase in demand. We're seeing nuclear reactors within China, as well as the potential within the United States to potentially increase demand for uranium. So I'm looking into CCG. Another name is the Uranium Etf. I think both these names have tremendous medium to long-term potential. I also like coal here. So it's an alternative play. Many investors might think, people are moving away from coal and we're going to see more green energy. But I think that we'll still continue to see demand for coal because it's going to take a longer time for many of these technologies or many of these green energies to be implemented. So I still like coal as a specific value play, and the name that I like in particular is ARCH. Now, in terms of an energy ETF, I like XLE. I've been watching for a buying opportunity, and I think the buying opportunity is coming very close. So keep an eye out within the Discord server for a potential buy entry. And that pretty much wraps up this week's episode of Eagle Investors Market Recap. Make sure to, like I said before, to take a look at some of these energy names, and I would love to hear your opinions within the comments below or within the Discord server as well. Thank you for watching it, and have a great long weekend.